And once again, it's 5:30 on a Friday afternoon. Welcome to Hotline 21. This is your host for the next 25 minutes, Congressman Danny Davis. And I can tell you there are a lot of things going on in Chicago. Just today, I participated in the ribbon cutting for 120 new senior citizen apartments at 18th Street and Costner Avenue, about a block away from where I lived for 10 years, which was at 4341 West 21st Street. So I really want to commend Alderman Michael Scott, Cook County Commissioner Dennis Deere, and both their predecessors who are gone on. In Michael Scott's case, Alderman Chandler started the project, and in Dennis Deere's place, Cook County Commissioner Robert Steele worked with the project. Both of them are gone, and now we have their successors. One, in the sense of both having grown up in that neighborhood, both are descendants of very active community leaders. So I just simply want to commend and congratulate them on that wonderful development. I wish I had a photograph of it with me, but I don't. But I said at the opening, the ribbon cutting, that if I was looking for an apartment, that's exactly where I would want to be. And so if others are looking, that might become where you want to be also. Also, we all know and we all kind of have a little taste because we all remember Dick Gregory in a very special way. I remember him not only in terms of his public interactions, but I had the opportunity one weekend to spend that weekend with Dick Gregory down at Southern Illinois University, where we were there as guests of the Black alumni and as speakers. And they have a place where they put speakers up where you've got several rooms, but you also have a community room. And I'd tell you, Dick Gregory, Minnie Brown, who was one of the Little Rock Nine, and I stayed up practically all night, each night we were there, because Dick Gregory was so entertaining and so funny and had so much to tell. And when we would say, hey, Dick, we really better go to bed because, we got to get up early in the morning, he'd say, well, let me just tell you about this. I remember one of his jokes that he told, and it was when the Ku Klux Klan was terrorizing. And he said that somebody came to him and said, Dick, the Ku Klux Klan is burning crosses on our lawns. And so Dick Gregory he told him, why don't you get you a watermelon and burn it on their lawn? And so rather than moaning and groaning and crying, do something well. We also are still in the aftermath of the confrontations that took place in Charlottesville, Virginia, where we have seen the worst of the new rise in, I guess, what people would call white supremacy or white supremacy groups Now, please don't try and put all white people in that category or with those individuals who were there and those individuals who have that feeling. Oftentimes, when I'm asked about things like that and the expressions of blackness, I have sort of a canned little thing I will say. And that is, I love to meet a man who is proud that he's black. Black is a beautiful color, and that's a fact. But I also like to meet a man who is proud that he is white. Every man ought to have some color. Just about any one of them is all right. But what I really like to meet is a man who strictly understands that it's not color that makes the person, but it's character that makes the man. And so that, to me, is a definition of humanity. Individuals who recognize that we are all a part of the human race. And if we take the position, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, then it means we're going to treat everybody right. Because we want everybody to treat us right. And we'll go right to the phone. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, how you doing, Connie Davis?
I am doing just great, James. How are you?
Okay, I had a good time at the parade. And okay, Connie Davis,
Yes, sir.
when you said others do to the others, and you're right about that, because I figure like this. Bruce Banner now, he made a cartoon, and now they taking all the statues out of the neighborhood, and I heard they gonna take the Statue of Liberty down too. And Donald Trump now, they don't like that. I don't know, Congressman Davis. Like you said, if you do to others, people do to you. You're right about that.
All right. Well, I don't think the governor made the caricature, but I think he's been asked to respond to it, how he felt about it. And lots of people have not been happy with what he said in response.
And I think the media is part of it because everybody was in on it. And it's just like when they had that attack in Virginia about that lady getting hit by that car, they was in on it. Even the media was in on it, Congress Davis. You're right. If you do to others, others do to you. You're right about that, Congress Davis. And y'all have a good.
Okay, and thank you so much. All right, we'll go to our next caller. Caller, are you there?
Good evening, Dr. Davis, U.S. Representative 7th District.
Yes, sir. I'm wonderful. How are you?
All right. Wrong is wrong no matter when it has been done. When you look at Washington, D.C., I hope you can make some corrections for me. There's a building that's supposed to represent freedom. Now, how can a building represent freedom when we have former Confederate generals in it? And it's an insult. And then there's a death. I hope some of you folks remember who Jefferson Davis was. He was a person that was head of the Confederacy, part of that government. And he have a death. Now, if I'm wrong, stop me dead in my tracks. Tell me I'm a lie, I got some wrong. There's a death that's dedicated him or that's put in the building in Washington, D.C., I think where the leadership of Mississippi, where they sign certain things at, or maybe you could correct certain things. Why do we have these things still around of these people that didn't want certain people to have freedom? And we got people that saying that, well, this is history. Well, this is a long time ago. But you know what? Don't matter when it was put up, it's wrong. It's a contradiction. If we got a building supposed to represent freedom, why do we have these people at the Confederacy up in this building? We have these statues.
Well, I think there might even be a Jefferson Davis Highway in Virginia.
And we got a desk in Washington, D.C. that's dedicated to him.
Well, I think it's time that we really talk through, work through, and get beyond the days of slavery, the rebellious South. I think we should take down statues that are offensive to others because of what they represented as people. I also think while we're doing
when we
it,
put up wrong is wrong. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I agree with that. That right is right. My mother used to tell us that right is right if nobody is right, and wrong is wrong if everybody is wrong. And so we have to recognize the differences between right and wrong, good and evil, love and hate. You know, something Dr. King said is that darkness cannot drive out darkness. If you want to change darkness, you got to bring in some light. And he also said that hate does not drive out hate. Bring in some love. And bringing in love will help drive out hate. Now, how do you love your brother who has violated you? And I remember in the book of the Bible, we used to talk about that. I think some of the disciples came, or somebody came to Jesus and said, Jesus, how many times should you forgive your brother who've done you wrong? Is it 7 times? And it seems to me that Jesus said something about 70 times 70. But we'll talk about love and hate, good and bad, sin and evil in a minute, but let me take this call. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening, Congressman Davis. Would you be in favor of having laws passed locally here in Chicago and also at the federal level and at the state level that would make it against the law for anyone to have a counter-protest the same day as a protest? If you've taken the time to get the proper permits and you're exercising your First Amendment right, whether any other group or person has a problem with it, you've gotten the permit. So if you passed a law that would cause people to have to wait 24 hours to have their counter protest, you could save lives, you could save countless millions, tens of millions of dollars in police overtime. Again, if someone's views are repugnant to you, the last thing you want to do is have people who someone can pay for a bus ticket and give them $50 and they show up and make a mountain out of a molehill. That's all that's going on. Again, if someone has a right to protest, but does somebody really have a right to show up at your protest and cause a big fuss? So much of the problem... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was simply going to say that I take the position that my rights end where the next person's rights begin. And so there could be some compromise in what you say, but it seems to me that also at the end of the day, we would be denying somebody on the other side.
Well,
issue.
They could always have people there 24 hours later to interview and get the viewpoints and why they were against what the other people protested. Again, this is just turning into a very well-organized way for certain groups of people to turn things into media circuses. Everybody has a right to an opinion. I don't care. Again, I might not like it, you might not like it, but when you allow people to show up that just cannot seem to control themselves, because when you get a permit for something, that gives you a specific right, and you shouldn't have to worry about others getting there and calling out so many policemen who have other things to do or any other branch of law enforcement. And I think we could start that here locally, do it at the federal level and at the state level again because it saves taxpayer dollars. And nobody would be denying anybody the right to show up. And again, they could voice why they disagreed with the group before. It would be a more civil way of going about things. And I hope you would be interested in going along with that. But thanks
All
for your
right.
time.
Not only will I be interested in it, but I'm going to also see what the ACLU would say. And I don't suggest that people always have to agree with the American Civil Liberties Union, but they are a group who dedicate themselves
Sure.
to the idea of protecting the rights of all.
And I agree, and they should be protecting the rights of the people who got the permits in the first place against those who would come and disrupt them. So I hope you do look into that. Thank you.
All right, I shall indeed, and thank you so much. I think we've got another caller, so we'll go right to the phone. Paula, are you there?
Hey, how you do, Congressman? I am calling to ask you, can you and LaShawn Ford and the other parties come together with this clemency, about this one governor having so much power over people's lives? You just said, the Bible said, forgive 70 times plus 77 times. Can we come up with a law after so many times, 10 or 7 or 80, whatever you guys think sufficient, that we don't have to see one man, one governor, to get a clemency so we can move on with our lives? I think that's just so, because some people die waiting to see the governor. Some people can't get the jobs that they qualify for because they've been in prison, whether it's 2 or 3 times. We done the time. We paid the time to society. Can we enter back in society without all these stigmas? It shouldn't be stigma that this one governor gets this big rulership over everybody. And I'm just saying, can y'all have some part of that?
Well, I agree with you, and I've been with State Representative LaShawn Ford last night. We had a town hall meeting in Oak Park, Illinois, and I had invited the other elected officials who represent the area. And I was very pleased when all 4 of them showed up. So we had State Senator Don Herman, State Representative LaShawn Ford, State Representative Camille Lilly, and Cook County Commissioner Richard Boykin. And I tell you, we had a great town hall discussion. The mayor of the village of Oak Park was also there. And of course, the night before that, we were in Westchester, Illinois, and we had a great time there. 2 of the trustees was there, and Sherby Miller, who is the first black trustee of that area, was also there, and we just had ourselves a great time. Let me answer this call and get back to some things. Caller, are you there?
Yes, this is Ray.
Yes, sir.
Congressman, you look spiffy without a tie.
Oh.
Let me say this about ESPN. They let a minority not call a game because his last name was Lee. Now, what happens if that guy, Robert Lee, happened to be African American? They would have never chanced getting him off the air to another game because they'd have had the NAACP, the Urban League, ACLU, amongst others, saying that was prejudice. So how can it be prejudice against one minority and not against another?
But and that's why I always raise this issue in the question that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And if we're going to be real, we want to protect the rights of all and give them opportunities that we don't agree with. I know that there have been groups who wanted to march in certain places and people would grant them a permit and then other people will be upset because they didn't agree with the group that got the permit. But I think if you're going to be just, you've got to be just across the board and protect the rights and privileges of everybody as opposed to just some. Let me also announce again, because we've got this great State of the African American Male event coming up on September the 8th, which is a Friday, starts at 5 o'clock, and September the 9th, beginning at 8 o'clock in the morning. We have free buses for groups that want to come. We have food for those who are going to stay all day, and a lot of interesting keynote speakers and workshops. Thomas Nathaniel Todd, is one of the keynote speakers. Dr. William Bell from the Casey Family Programs is one. Carl Bell and all of the local elected officials are invited to come. So please join us on Friday. That means on that particular Friday, I won't be here because I'll be someplace else. But that particular Friday, September the 8th and September the 9th, we will be at the University of Illinois Forum at Roosevelt and Halsted Street. So please come on out and join us. And let's go to the phone. Caller, are you there?
You know what? I was just, and first of all, it's a great day to be on God's green earth. I've been listening to the show all day, and that last caller made me really, really, truly realize you're never going to please everybody. You never won't, you never will, and you never can't. But again, right is right, wrong is wrong. It depends who you're talking to that will say who is right and who is wrong. So again, it all falls back what you cannot do. But the most important thing that people need to really realize, we need to try to just get along. That's all. That's so simple. Good morning, how you doing, what's going on, and keep on your train, just keep on moving. But we always gonna have a different opinion. And I guess, just as you said at the beginning, how many people can we please? That's the question. Thanks for question. And you know what? Sometimes it's better to use your ears than use your mouth. Just listen to what everybody say. And there it is. That last caller, Ray, he just seen it. He just said it. I hope people was listening. Thank you for taking the call. Let me
All
get out there.
right. Thank you very much. And as we get ready to leave, I'd like to admonish people to just remember the words of the poet. Let me live in the house by the side of the road, where the race of men go by, men who good, bad, wise, foolish, but then so am I. So why would I sit in the scorner's seat or hurl the cynic's ban? Just let me live in my house by the side of the road and be a friend to man. If all of us could take that as a cue and be a friend to our neighbors, people who live across the street, the people who live in other communities, the people whose language is not the same as ours, but just let us live in our house by the side of the road and be a friend to man. Good evening, good night. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next Friday.